Hey, everybody. This is Crystal O'Connor with Bullet Talk Radio. So glad to be here again with you another Sunday evening here in not so sunny southwestern Pennsylvania. We are expecting a snowstorm this evening through tomorrow afternoon, though nothing like what New York City is expecting. But my little 3.5-year-old son is very excited because hopefully there will be enough snow that he can build an Olaf. Yes, that's right. He doesn't want to build a snowman. He wants to build an Olaf. Thank you, Disney. Thank you, Frozen. My son is addicted. Come on, moms. You know what I'm talking about, right? Olaf. He's really cute. But my son's been really upset because we haven't had enough snow to build an Olaf. Don't worry, I won't sing the song for you. So, this is going to be a really busy week. I have a bunch of stuff. I left a bunch of stuff out just because this episode gets pretty long pretty quick. Let's see. This week was the start of the real working start of many of the state's legislative sessions for 2015, and it is also the Sunday after the wrap up of SHOTShow. So there's tons of stuff to cover. So for the stuff that I had to leave out for time's sake, I'm going to write about throughout the next couple of weeks. So keep your eye out on the blog bullettalkradio.com for more information there. And I'm also going to be, and I'll mention this again a little bit more in detail later, I'm going to be at the Great American Outdoor Show. So for the things that don't get covered here hardware-wise, I'm probably going to see some of it over in Harrisburg at the Great American Outdoor Show. So you can expect lots of interviews, pictures, and fun from that during that week as well. I unfortunately was unable to make it to SHOTShow, but some other really fantastic media organizations put out a lot of info. So I'm going to give you just a basic rundown of some of the stuff I thought was cool from the week. But for now, let's move into the news, starting with West Virginia. I was just in West Virginia a few hours ago. A bill has been submitted to the West Virginia legislature to make concealed carry permit holders, the list of those permit holders, closed to the public. Now, I guess I should have already known this, but until this article streamed across my screen, I actually had no idea that there are states out there, West Virginia included, that make the permit holder list public information. Of course, I guess I really should have known that with the onslaught of media who kept publishing these lists a few months ago, a year ago. But I guess the two just never really clicked in my head. So in West Virginia, the list of CCW holders is a matter of public record. A bill submitted to the state legislature for 2015 aims to close the list so the information is no longer public. Duh. This isn't even a question to me. Like, why is this even being asked? Just astounds me. House Bill 4310. So if you're in West Virginia, go take a look at that bill. Go contact your legislators. Let them know that you support House Bill 4310. The bill was originally submitted in 2012. It passed the House, but died in the Senate Judiciary Committee. Isn't that how it always rolls? So I'm going to quote from the Herald Dispatch. It scares me in a big sense because it's lobbyist driven, Smith said. It is a wave across the country to keep that information out. I know that will probably be the NRA's, number one priority this time. Smith said he believes the NRA is pushing the policy because it's easier to sell the idea of a permit or even a firearm if someone knows their name will be kept private. We're not anti-gun. We're not anti-concealed weapons, Smith said. We're against somebody seeing the advantage of information not being out there and coming to the government and saying, let's do this. Smith, or Don Smith, is the West Virginia Press Association director. You know what, Mr. Smith? You're wrong. It's easier to sell the idea of a permit or even a firearm if someone knows their name will be kept private. No. Is there a public list out there of everyone who has driver's licenses? Okay, do you, Mr. Smith, understand the danger that is associated with releasing the names of people who are concealed carry members just because you want Freedom of Information Act? I mean, yes, okay, I am for the Freedom of Information Act, but that's information of which the government is holding that the public needs to be aware of. You have no right and no need to know if I have a concealed carry permit. That is none of your GD business. And this is a clean show, so I'm going to watch my language. But this one just had me screaming when I read it. And to read his comments, just, we're against somebody seeing the advantage of information not being out there and coming to the government and saying, let's do this. Well, you know what? If you had a gun and a 3-year-old in your house and there was a possibility of some anti-gun nut coming after you or your child, well, you know what? You'd probably side with me too. That's all I've got to say about that. Next up is a story out of Texas. A customer stops an armed robbery in a restaurant. So Houston, Texas, at the K&S Seafood Bar and Grill, as reported by KHOU.com. Robbers walked in. One held the restaurant owners on the ground. The other went for the register. Now, the restaurant was on its way to being closed. There were only 2 customers left in the restaurant finishing up their supper. And one of them happened to be a concealed carrier. He pulled his weapon and held one suspect for the police, shot at the other while the suspect ran. Whether he was hit or not, the article did not say. So +1 for the good guys. I'm not going to get into the whether he should have or shouldn't have gotten involved. In this case, everything seems to have worked out well. That is a conversation for another episode. BAFTA! Oh, our buddies over at the ATF changes their tune regarding the use of the SIG pistol brace. Previously, the ATF has said, hey, this brace is perfectly fine when used properly. There's nothing wrong with it. Well, they've done a complete 180, and this time they have written a letter regarding the use of the SIG pistol brace. I'm going to go ahead and read that letter to you. I quote, "The Firearms and Ammunition Technology Division, or FATD, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives has received inquiries from the public concerning the proper use of devices recently marked as stabilizing braces. These devices are described as a shooter's aid that is designed to improve the single-handed shooting performance of buffer tube-equipped pistols. The device claims to enhance accuracy and reduce felt recoil when using an AR-style pistol. These items are intended to improve accuracy by using the operator's forearm to provide stable support of the AR-type pistol. ATF has previously determined that attaching the brace to a firearm does not alter the classification of the firearm or subject the firearm to National Firearms Act (NFA) control. However, this classification is based upon the use of the device as designed. When the device is redesigned for use as a shoulder stock on a handgun with a rifled barrel under 16 inches of length, the firearm is properly classified as a firearm under the NFA. The NFA 26 USCS Section 5845 defines firearm in relevant part as a shotgun having a barrel or barrels of less than 18 inches in length, and a rifle having a barrel or barrels of less than 16 inches in length. That section defines both rifle and shotgun as a weapon designed or redesigned, made or remade, and intended to be fired from the shoulder. Pursuant to the plain language of the statute, ATF and its predecessor agency have long held that a pistol with a barrel less than 16 inches in length and an attached shoulder stock is a NFA firearm. For example, in Revenue Ruling 6145, Luger and Mauser pistols having a barrel less than 16 inches in length with an attachable shoulder stock affixed were each classified as a short barrel rifle, SBR, within the purview of the NFA. In classifying the originally submitted design, ATF considered the objective design of the item as well as the stated purpose of the item. In submitting this device for classification, the designer noted that the intent of the buffer tube firearm brace is to facilitate one-handed firing of the AR-15 pistol for those with limited strength or mobility due to a handicap. It also performs the function of sufficiently padding the buffer tube in order to reduce bruising to the firearm while firing with one hand. Sliding and securing the brace onto one's forearm and latching the Velcro straps distributes the weight of the weapon evenly and ensures a snug fit. Therefore, it is no longer necessary to dangerously muscle this large pistol during the one-handed aiming process, and recoil is dispersed significantly, resulting in more accurate shooting without compromising safety or comfort. In the classification letter of November 26, 2012, ATF noted that a shooter should insert his or her forearm into the device while gripping the pistol's hand grip, then tighten the Velcro straps for additional support and retention. Thus configured, the device provides the shooter with additional support of a firearm while it is still held and operated with one hand. When strapped to the wrist and used as designed, it's clear the device does not allow the firearm to be fired from the shoulder. Therefore, ATF concluded that, pursuant to the information provided, the device is not designed or intended to fire a weapon from a shoulder. In making the classification, ATF determined that the objective design characteristics of the stabilizing brace supported the stated intent. ATF hereby confirms that if used as designed to assist shooters in stabilizing a handgun while shooting with a single hand, the device is not considered a shoulder stock and therefore may be attached to a handgun without making an NFA firearm. However, the ATF has received numerous inquiries regarding alternate uses for this device, including use as a shoulder stock. Because the NFA defines both rifle and shotgun to include any weapon designed or redesigned, made or remade, and intended to be fired from the shoulder, any person who redesigns a stabilizing brace for use as a shoulder stock makes an NFA firearm when attached to a pistol with a rifled barrel under 16 inches in length or a handgun with a smooth bore under 18 inches in length. The GCA does not define the term redesign, and therefore ATF applies the common meaning. Redesign is defined as to alter the appearance, function of. See Webster's number 2, New College Dictionary, 3rd edition, 2005. This is not a novel interpretation. For example, ATF has previously advised that an individual possesses a destructive device when possessing anti-personnel ammunition with an otherwise unregulated 37-38 mm flare launcher. See ATF Ruling 95-3. Further, ATF has advised that even use of an unregulated flare and flare launcher as a weapon results in the making of an NFA weapon. Similarly, ATF has advised that, although otherwise unregulated, the use of certain nail guns as weapons may result in classification as any other weapon. The pistol stabilizing brace was neither designed nor approved to be used as a shoulder stock, and therefore use as a shoulder stock constitutes a redesign of the device because a possessor has changed the very function of the item. Any individual letters stating otherwise are contrary to the plain language of the NFA, misapply federal law, and are hereby revoked. Any person who intends to use a handgun stabilizing brace as a shoulder stock on a pistol having a rifled barrel under 16 inches in length or a smooth bore firearm with a barrel under 18 inches in length must first file an ATF Form 1 and pay the applicable tax because the resulting firearm will be subject to all provisions of the NFA. If you have any questions about the issues addressed in this letter, you may contact the Firearms and Ammunition Technology Division at fire_tech@atf.gov or by phone at 304-616-4300. This is from the Acting Chief, Max Kingery, of the Firearms Technology Criminal Branch and the Firearms and Ammunition Technology Division of the ATF. Don't worry about if you're driving and you need to take down that contact information. It'll be in the show notes, bullettalkradio.com. But how many minutes did it just take me to read that? And did you learn anything from it other than the ATF is sorely confused? Let me just say, if you happen to have one of those braces and you do happen to ignore this letter and use it as a shoulder stock, you might want to not show it off to your buddies at the range. Just saying. 6 Hour, who distributes the brace, released a statement countering the ATF. The statement was released on the 21st, and it reads, 6 Hour released a statement countering the ATF. This statement was released on January 21st, and it reads, 6 Hour has issued the following statement about the recent opinion by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives in regards to the SB-15 and SBX pistols stabilizing braces. Quote, as reaffirmed in an open letter by ATF's Firearms and Ammunition Technology Division dated January 16th, 2015, the pistol stabilizing brace SB-15 and SBX is legal to own, legal to purchase, and legal to install on a pistol. 6 Hour believes that the PSB improves the single-handed shooting performance of buffer-tubed equipped pistols and offers the product both as an accessory and pre-installed on a number of pistols. The open letter goes further to rescind a previous private letter regarding the intent of the user of the pistol stabilizing brace. In the letter of January 16, 2015, ATF opines that a person's actual use of the product as a shoulder stock can change the legal classification of the product. However, the open letter explicitly states, ATF hereby confirms that if used as designed to assist shooters in stabilizing a handgun while shooting with a single hand, the device is not considered a shoulder stock and therefore may be attached to a handgun without making an NFA firearm. We question ATF's reversal in position that the classification of the brace may be altered by its use. We are reviewing the legal precedents and justification for this position and will address our concerns with the ATF in the near future. We will vigorously defend the classification of all our products and our consumers' right to use them in accordance with the law. If we find that the open letter opinion is outside the scope of the law, we will seek further review. And we move on to this next gem. Liam Neeson, star, if you want to call him that, of the Taken series, Taken, Taken 2, and Taken 3, which is in theaters now, was asked recently about his thoughts on the attacks in France. If you haven't heard these wonderful quotes yet, let me enlighten you. I quote, first off, my thoughts and prayers and my heart are with the deceased and certainly with all of France. I've got a lot of dear friends in Paris. I think it's a beep disgrace, the actor added. every week now we're picking up a newspaper and seeing yet another few kids have been killed in schools. It's in the movies, you know. I think it can give people a great release from stresses in life and all the rest of it. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean they're all going to go out and go, yeah, let's get a gun. That beep was for the F word. Obviously, I was not going to include that in my commentary. But so once again, Liam Neeson shows himself as an anti gunner who thinks it's perfectly okay to do what he does on the big screen, but it's not okay for legal, right minded civilians to own firearms as per our Second Amendment. Well, the company that provided the Taken series with firearms happened to be Para USA. And they released a statement on their Facebook page, which reads, Para USA regrets its decision to provide firearms for use in the film Taken 3. While the film itself is entertaining, comments made by its Irish-born star during press junkets reflect a cultural and factual ignorance that undermines support of the Second Amendment and American liberties. We will no longer provide firearms for use in films starring Liam Neeson and ask that our friends and partners in Hollywood refrain from associating our brand and products with his projects. Further, we encourage our partners and friends in the firearm industry to do the same. Yes! And they said it eloquently and they said it without any harsh language. I'm doubting that such a boycott of Hollywood would actually happen, but boy, would it be nice, wouldn't it? Just be like, quit beating us up, us law-abiding citizens. And on to something more serious, particularly for those of you who happen to go through states like Maryland. I'm looking at you. There will be hopefully a clarification of interstate transportation of firearms and ammunition as per a bill introduced by United States Representative Morgan Griffith, a Republican from Virginia. He introduced H.R. 131. The bill aims to clarify being able to get from your home state to a state where you are legal to have your firearms and ammo while covering other states in between. Let me break it down for you. So I drive to Virginia on occasion. I have family there. They have a nice beach at Virginia. And I also, as a resident in Pennsylvania, and I carry a firearm and I have a Pennsylvania license to carry firearms. Now, Pennsylvania and Virginia have a reciprocity agreement. So when I spend any period of time in Virginia, I am welcome to bring and carry my firearm fully concealed while I am staying in the great state of Virginia, as long as I, of course, maintain my LTCF and am a law-abiding citizen and all of that good stuff. The same goes for West Virginia, which I actually pass through when I'm going to, well, Virginia. There's a catch. You go through Maryland. If you're going from Pennsylvania, at least southwestern Pennsylvania, through to Virginia, at some point you're going to cross Maryland. Maryland has zero reciprocity with Pennsylvania. And if I'm remembering correctly, I could be wrong. I don't think they have reciprocity with much of anybody. But nonetheless, so in order to get from Pennsylvania to Virginia, if I'm not going to take I think it's an additional 2.5 hours to go around Maryland, which I have been known to do, I have to keep my firearm unaccessible, preferably in a box or a safe. Dismantled is even better, with the ammo in a separate container and in a separate area of the vehicle. The idea is that I can't get to the gun and put it together and use it quickly. It needs to be inaccessible while I'm traveling through a state that I do not have reciprocity with, that does hold different firearm rules and regulations. That allows me to travel across interstate to get from point A to point B legally while still being able to bring my firearm with me. I'm not stopping much in Maryland. I'm not conducting business in Maryland. I'm not staying in Maryland. I'm driving straight through. Therefore, I need to keep all of my stuff separated. I'm picking on Maryland partly because this is a trip that I make frequently and it makes it easier for me to explain to you because I have experience with it. But I'm also picking on Maryland because Maryland is kind of well known for having travelers be stopped for a traffic violation, be it speeding or a bad tail light or something along those lines. And the police often will discover the LTCF, want to know about the firearms, go and try to find the firearms. And there have been people even wrongfully arrested, have had their weapons confiscated, and sometimes not even returned at the end after lengthy court cases because they don't want to abide by these already existing transportation laws that exist at the federal level, which is meant to make it so that you can pass through safely and get to a state where you are legal to have these items. So per the NRAILA, HR 131 would ensure the law has the effect Congress intended when it passed more than 25 years ago. Specifically, the legislation would make clear that transportation of both firearms and ammunition is federally protected, as well as expand the protections afforded to travelers to include staying in temporary lodging overnight, stopping for food, fuel, vehicle maintenance, and emergency medical treatment, and any other activity incidental to the trip. I am a woman. I've had a child. Potty break, please. Thank you. Additionally, the bill would place the burden of proof clearly on the state to show that the traveler failed to comply with the law. So this would be I don't want to call it a welcome change, but a welcome clarification and a, hey, you, Maryland and other states like Maryland, knock it off. There are federal protections for these people, and unless they're doing something wrong, if you have a valid reason, a traffic violation, go ahead and do that and then send them on their way. For heaven's sakes. On that note, more and more women are getting concealed carry permits. Woo-hoo! I can mark myself as one of them. Women are being marketed as the fastest growing submarket of the firearms industry, from gun clubs aimed specifically at women to flashbang holsters. Ugh, really? To not really a fan. To pink guns. I was just at Cabela's today, and I, of course, always hit up the firearm department and have to fondle some toy or another. And as I was walking over towards the gun library, I saw in a case a Browning pistol. I believe it was just a 22 target pistol, but it wasn't just pink camo. Like pink camo, like the pink mossy oak stuff, I can handle that. I have a couple shirts in that. I think it's cute. I've got a hat that's like that. I think it's cute. But this was like bright, hot pink on a 22 target pistol. And I'm just not, I don't know. I know some girls go for that, but I'm just not that kind of girl. This was hot pink. Like 1980s bow in the crimped up mile high hair hot pink. This wasn't like the pale camo pink. This was like woot, woot, woot in your face hot pink. And I literally stopped and looked at it and turned to my husband and I said, don't you ever buy me that gun. I'm sure they have one that's not hot pink that does a perfectly fine job. But I'm just saying, but that's just a testament to this growing market of women in the shooting sports, women who are carrying firearms, who need a 22 to practice with. And according to the NSSF, the number of women who owned guns increased to 23% in 2011 compared to 13% in 2005. And I can consider myself as one of those in that stat. Well, actually, I'm not sure, and I'd have to go back and look. I'm not sure if I would be included in that stat or not because I've always had rifles and shotguns. But it wasn't until I was 25. Okay, so like 7, 8 years ago that I actually got my first pistol. Uh, yeah, it'll be about 7 years since I got my first pistol. So I'm cutting it close to be part of that statistic. But yeah, so there you have it. Way to go, ladies. And look, you're listening to a gun show hosted by a woman. So woohoo. A post-terrorist Paris, Europe is now considering arming police. Really? I just, I knew before that basically EU members did not have armed police, at least not the police that patrol the roads. This has always shocked me. Always shocked me. I cannot imagine police officers not having a sidearm and not having a long arm in their trunk. I can't see it. I don't agree with it. This is obvious to me. Maybe it's just because I'm an American and I've lived here for the 32 years of my life, and honest answer, I've never been to Europe. So maybe that's part of it. I don't know. Why are police officers on the ground not armed? That just boggles my mind. So Scotland Yard is increasing deployment of officers with arms. Belgium began to allow officers to take firearms home with them, and French law enforcement officers began to demand heavier weapons, protective gear, and intelligence. Yeah. Please, governments, approve their requests and provide said armament because necessary. There's English for you. So here's one that could happen to any one of us. A man sees another man with a gun at a Walmart and tackles him. Man with gun had a permit to carry. Yep, folks, stay attentive. So this Walmart was in Brandon, Florida, and it involved a Mr. Foster, 43, and a Mr. Daniels, 57. Now, Foster saw Daniels in the parking lot with a gun in his holster under his jacket. And this is why I say it so easily could have been me. Because anytime I get out of the car, if I'm using a regular IWB holster on the side of my hip, and I'm particularly in the spring or the fall, and I'm wearing a jacket and I'm getting out of the car, my jacket's bound to rise up or whatever. Anybody looking closely may see it, and anybody who knows would at least see me pull my shirt or my jacket down over top to make sure it's concealed. It's just one of those tells that I've never really gotten over. Similar here. So he sees Mr. Daniels in the parking lot with a gun in his holster under his jacket. Mr. Foster then proceeded to follow Mr. Daniels into the Walmart, came at him from behind, and tackled him to the ground, putting him in a chokehold. He then continuously yelled that the man has a gun, he has a gun, he has a gun. So if you actually watch the video surveillance of this, others actually come over and also basically sit on Mr. Daniels, holding him down, thinking, oh, well, somebody's yelling he's got a gun, he must be brandishing it or doing something wrong with it or about to rob the store or whatever it may be. It's kind of like yelling fire in a crowded movie theater. So Mr. Foster yells that the man has a gun, and Mr. Daniels is yelling, I have a permit to carry. I always have a gun. It's holstered. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to go bang on its own. Hey, I have a permit to carry. Thankfully, the police saw through the ruse, and Mr. Foster was arrested for battery. Mr. Foster never actually called the police or even alerted store management that there was a possible threat. This is something that can happen to any of us who carry, man or woman. People out there don't know the laws. You, as someone who carries, should know the laws to the best of your ability. Ignorance of the law has never been a defense. But the people around you don't know the laws. And there are some anti gunners out there who would love to do something like this. Yeah, I took out a concealed carrier. This could have landed into such a dangerous situation. Truth be told, if I were actually paying attention to my surroundings and I had my gun on me and some big guy comes barreling at me from behind and puts me on the ground, I'm going to be fighting to get to my gun and I'm probably going to shoot him. I don't mean that I want to do that. God knows I don't. And I hope that that would never come to pass. But if something like this had happened to me, there's a strong possibility that this Mr. Foster could have ended up killed because he did something stupid like try to tackle and then put in a chokehold a man who is perfectly legally allowed to carry a firearm. What if that was an off-duty police officer? Off-duty police officers carry a sidearm all the time. So what if that was an off-duty police officer? Did Mr. Foster for 1 second think, well, maybe that's a police officer? It's usually my assumption. It's a police officer or another concealed carrier. I've spotted some out in the wild. It's usually a police officer or somebody who's carrying concealed, or as it were, partially concealed. So anyway, it's a scenario I never really considered. Pennsylvania allows for concealed carry and open carry. I have open carried on occasion, usually just when I'm going to a firearm or otherwise political event. Um, but I never. I considered dirty looks. I considered getting engaged in a conversation that may or may not go well. I've had conversations that have gone well. Actually, have never had a conversation that went badly, even in a Starbucks, actually. I never considered this scenario. I'm considering it now, and you should also. So let's move on to some fun stuff. Yeah, how about some stuff out of SHOTShow? Honestly, my sources list was blowing up this week from with stuff from SHOT and from NRAILA with the legislative stuff happening. So I'm not covering every single little thing that came out of SHOT Show because there's so much. There's so much awesomeness every year that comes out of SHOT Show. So I picked and chose a couple things that I thought were interesting or cool or things that I might be interested in owning sometime. Things that I thought maybe you all would be interested in. Some of the things that more of us everyday folk might be might be into. So let's start out with Ruger. They are releasing a new commander style of the SR 1911. It is a lightweight 1911 style. Aluminum black anodized frame with a stainless steel slide. It weighs 7 ounces less than the all stainless option. It has thin hardwood grips, front strap serrations, and a polished titanium feed ramp. This source comes from the NRA blog. They've got some pictures up of it, and she is a beauty. If you're into 1911s, if you like to carry a 1911, and you like something nice and light and from a great company like Ruger, you might want to take a look at the new Commander SR 1911. I know I certainly will be giving that one a good hard look. Now, many of you know how much I love my M&P shield, my Smith & Wesson M&P shield. I actually traded in a Kimber CDP2, the Ultra Carry Kimber 1911 and 45. It was a beautiful, beautiful gun. I typically love Kimber. I had a lot of hardware problems with that Kimber. Maybe I'll elaborate on it someday. But I traded it in for the M&P shield. Such a completely different way to go, right? From a Kimber 1911 compact to the Smith & Wesson M&P Glock style, so to say. But I love my M&P. It is incredibly comfortable to shoot. It is by far my most comfortable carry. There's no sharp edges. It's nice and smooth. It's really easy to get out of the holster. It's really easy to get on sight and on target. I love my M&P. Don't worry, I will be doing a full video review on the M&P. I know there's a million reviews already out there, but I really like the gun, so I'll do a review on it. So you might be wondering, why am I going on and on and on about the M&P? Well, because now they're doing threaded barrel kits for the M&P. And I just think that's cool. So it will be available for the M&P in 9mm and in 45 ACP is available now, MSRPing at 669 buckaroos. And speaking of Kimber, and not to knock Kimber, I have a Kimber Target Eclipse that anytime I'm starting people on pistols and I finally get them up to that 45 caliber point, I put them on that Target Eclipse. It is such a joy to shoot. It is heavy, it's long, it's a target gun. It's not meant for carry, but it is such a joy. And Kimber does make some of the most beautiful 1911s. And they're just moving right on along with that theme with the new Sapphire pistols. They're doing a Pro 2 and a Solo in Sapphire style. Details and specs on both can be found at thefirearmblog.com. Really, really, really pretty guns if you're into the shiny metallic blue thing. I typically am not. They're still pretty to look at. But they do seem to have plans in the works to do a black version of the Sapphire as well. And that I would be very interested in seeing. Going back to Ruger for a moment, they put out a new trigger for the 1022. Now, if you listen to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham, you probably already heard about this because it was talked about on his show several weeks ago. I guess maybe 3-4 weeks ago. And if you're not already listening to that show, you should. He is a wealth of information. But if you don't listen, you didn't already know, Ruger has a new trigger for the 1022 and the 22 Charger pistols. This is probably a good thing. For any of you who have ever bought a 1022 and then taken it to the range and used that trigger, you then subsequently went home, went online, and looked for a replacement trigger. Well, Ruger now has one for you, and according to their announcement, Sturm Ruger and Company announces the launch of the BX trigger, a light, crisp, drop-in replacement trigger assembly that is compatible with all Ruger 1022 rifles and 22 Charger pistols. The BX trigger is a genuine Ruger factory accessory and is the perfect upgrade for all 1022 rifles and 22 Charger pistol models because of the significantly reduced pull weight of approximately 2.75 pounds versus 6 pounds on the standard 1022 trigger. We have made continuous improvements to the 1022 over the years, but the BX trigger is an exciting performance enhancement, said Ruger President and COO Chris Calloy. The BX trigger was designed for easy installation, superior performance, and legendary Ruger reliability. Like the popular BX25 magazine for the 1022, the BX trigger will deliver the excellence and value that shooters have come to expect from Ruger. The BX trigger is sold as a complete assembly that drops in to replace the existing trigger assembly with no additional adjustment or fitting required. A video of the installation process can be found at ruger.com/bx-trigger. SIG-trigger. URL for that is in the show notes along with the source, the Firearm blog. If you don't already follow the Firearm blog, I'm going to go ahead and give them a plug. They were all over SHOTShow. I believe they said something like 169 posts during the week. I could be off by one or two on that, but they had a lot of fantastic posts, some really nice pictures, some great reviews from Media Day out on the range there in Vegas. So go check out the posts that they had from Shot Week. But I will probably be picking up one of these triggers here eventually and dropping it in, so to say, into my 1022. And everyone that I've heard talking about it has said that it is one of the easiest trigger installs they have ever had. And pretty much everyone that I've heard actually talk about it has really liked it. So again, if you've been looking for a new trigger assembly for your 1022, there you go. There's an option for you. Moving into SIG. SIG released so much stuff. They've got a lot of SKUs going on there over at Sig Sauer. We'll start with one of their new optics. It's the Tango 616x24 optic. It has a triplex reticle with mini fiber optic illuminated center dot, daylight visible. According to the Firearm blog, it will offer multiple reticles, including a horseshoe dot with BDC 4556, 762 NATO, and 300 blackout. The scope tube is 30 mm, and it should be put to market in the next few months. Next up, if you're into customizing barrels, new lightweight rifle barrels are coming from Elite Warrior Armament. This is a hybrid barrel and has a steel core with aircraft-grade aluminum jacket. The core is welded to the jacket. The point to this barrel is to decrease weight, increase balance, and really to have much better heat management, which can really extend the life of the barrel. So there you have it. Nice new hybrid barrel coming from Elite Warrior Armament. Another one from SIG. They are putting out the SIG MCX in 300 blackout. I think I want one. It is so pretty. It comes in SBR, carbine, and pistol. And a statement from Sig Sauer. Sig Sauer unveils the next evolution in rifle technology. The SIG MCXTM continues to set new standards in firearm design, innovation, and performance with the introduction of the SIG MCXTM, designed from the ground up as a short-barreled, silenced, lightweight rifle caliber system. The SIG MCX has reset the standard for modularity, sound suppression, and mission capability. With the introduction of the SIG MPXTM submachine gun, Sig Sauer raised the bar for performance and modularity in a pistol caliber platform. The SIG MCX combines that modularity with rifle caliber power in a compact package designed for optimum performance with a silencer. We've built a team of the best minds in the industry when it comes to silencer technology, rifle engineering, and the 300 blackout cartridge, said Jeff Kramer, Executive Director and General Merchandise Manager for Sig Sauer. The end result is a technological leap forward in ergonomics, modularity, cartridge performance, and sound reduction. Unlike every other firearm on the market, the SIG MCX was designed from the start for optimum performance with the 300 blackout cartridge and a silencer. When paired with a Sig Sauer silencer, the outcome is a firearm with superior suppression capability and enhanced reliability with both supersonic and subsonic loads. An auto-regulating gas system makes the transition from subsonic to supersonic seamless. In combat situations, the SIG MCX can run supersonic on the silent setting without damaging the firearm or negatively impacting reliability. Sharing a modular design with the SIG MPX, the SIG MCX is a mission adaptable marvel. Changing between 300 Blackout and 5.56 NATO is as simple as swapping barrels and op rods. Converting to 7.62 by 339 mm simply requires an additional bolt face change. All of this can be performed by the user in the field. Barrel lengths can also be changed with 16 and 9 versions initially available. The SIG MCX can be set up as a silenced personal defense weapon or a primary rifle in almost no time at all, Kramer said. The one constant is 6-hour reliability and durability. Very interesting. Now, Glock, and I believe I talked a little bit about this last week, but Glock has a new modular optic system, or MOS, as it is being referred to, and it aims to provide additional options for those who want to use red dot solutions on their pistols. This is not me. um, if it prevents my ability to put it in a holster and carry it concealed, then I'm probably not going to do it. But there are many people out there who would like to use a red dot on their pistols, I am sure. So Glock gave them that ability. They dug into the slide. They didn't go all the way through. It's still quite stable, but they dug into the slide to give as low a setting as possible because they wanted to get that red dot as close down to the barrel as possible in order to increase accuracy instead of having it ride super high on the frame of the gun. It allows for interchangeable mounting plates and will be available for the G34 9mm, the G35, the 40 Smith & Wesson, the G40 10mm, and the G41 and 45 ACP. Rock Island. Now that's a company I, in my little circle, don't hear too much about. Do any of you own any Rock Island stuff? I'd be really interested in hearing about that one. But anyway, they have a new 380 ACP. It's a 1911 style in 380. It is a little itty bitty minigun. It holds 6 rounds plus 1 in the chamber, and they expect it to ship mid 2015. Will sell for around $459. And we're back to SIG. Maybe I should just put all the SIG stuff together in the show notes. SIG Sauer expands its elite performance line to include 300 blackout ammo. So if you weren't aware, SIG Sauer a little while ago entered the ammunition market, and their first rifle ammunition is the 300 AAC Blackout. It is a 220 grain open tip match round. It does 1,000 feet per second, and it has 489 foot-pounds force. It can be used with or without a suppressor, and its aim is low recoil, a minimal muzzle flash, and a low sound signature. SIG announces an expansion of its P220 pistol line. This would be in the form of a 10mm. If you've not shot a 10, you should go shoot a 10. I really like shooting 10. It's fun. But SIG has announced a new 10 being added to the P220 line of pistols. 4 different models are being introduced, all featuring a 5-inch barrel. They've also added 45 subcompacts to the P320 pistol line. It is 6.67 inches long, 1.06 inches wide, 24.9 ounces, and holds 12 rounds plus 1 in the chamber. Last on my list, I talked a little bit about last week, is Night Owl Firearms. They hail out of my home state, Clareton, PA, and they stem from Evans Machining Company. It's a 9mm. It MSRP is around $675. The model name is NO9-R. I will be meeting with these guys at the Great American Outdoor Show. I am still setting up interviews with some of these other companies before I announce, but I have already talked to Night Owl, and I really look forward to meeting their guys and seeing what they have in store with this 9mm and what they think they can do better than, say, a Glock or a CZ or a Smith and Wesson. It'll be really interesting to talk to these guys. But hey, I'm all for more competition and more firearm companies, and I'm super glad that they're hailing out of PA. So, woohoo! Night Owl Firearms. So that's my SHOT Show roundup for now. There will be more coming as more news hits. And of course, I will have a ton of stuff. Hopefully, get my hands on a lot of this stuff when I go to the Great American Outdoor Show. So, with that said, yeah, if you didn't already know, Bullet Talk Radio is going to the Great American Outdoor Show in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Frankly, little easier for me to reach this year than going all the way out to Vegas in SHOT Show. Maybe I can do SHOT Show next year. We will see. With that said, the Great American Outdoor Show takes over the farm complex, and they've got a whole bunch of stuff. All the major firearm manufacturers are there. Browning, Brownell, Glock, Smith and Wesson will be there. Sig Sauer will be there. The NRA will be there. I am working on setting up a time to speak with those guys to see what their initiatives in 2015 are going to be like. So lots of really great stuff. If you're going to be there, do me a favor and shoot me a message, radio@bullettalkradio.com. I'd love to know. Maybe we can do some sort of meetup, or I can get you on the show somehow, or if nothing else, I would love to see your smiling face and shake your hand. So if you're going to the show, let me know, and we'll chat. So I'm really excited about going. That's going to be a lot of fun, and there's going to be tons of content. That's not going to be a one episode a week deal. That week, I'm going to be putting out stuff all week long. I am going up Saturday, and I'm staying through. Right now, I'm staying through Thursday, coming back on Friday, but that's tentative. We'll see. We'll see. If I'm having that much fun, I'll just stick around. So stay tuned for that. And the legislative sessions have opened up, and there's all kinds of bills that need your attention that are coming out. So keep an eye out on the NRA ILA if you aren't already. And if you would rather just watch bullettalkradio.com, I will be getting some roundups for a lot of that stuff out to you as well. If you like the show, can you do me a favor? Can you write a review for me, either over on Stitcher or on iTunes? It's one of those things where when you write reviews, it somehow helps search rankings and all of that stuff. But really, I just love the feedback. Feedback is golden. You can get me on Twitter at Bullet Talk Radio. You can get me on Facebook, facebook.com/Bullet Talk. You can get me on Google plus.google.com/Bullet Talk Radio. And also, if you are interested in supporting the show in order to help the show afford things like going to the Great American Outdoor Show, like better equipment for summer activities, like maybe going to SHOT Show next year so I can bring you the goods straight. All of that is possible over at patreon.com/Bullet Talk Radio. Patreon, patreon.com/Bullet Talk Radio. As little as $1 a month. If you want to do more, do more. If you just want to do $1 a month, just do $1 a month. It's not required by any stretch of the imagination, but it does help foot the bill for the production of the show. So that would be greatly appreciated. Again, I'm not looking for salary. I just want to help cover some of the expenses of the show. There are some premium content that are being released. The first premium only episode was released this week. Is called Silence is Not the Answer, and you can find that over at the Patreon site. That episode is actually being brought back from one of the original episodes of the original Bullet Talk Radio that I did early in 2014. And it's all about domestic violence and disparity of force. And if you look at the post, it explains why I decided to delve into that topic. It was a hard topic to do, it's not a fun topic, but it was also one of the, actually, not one of, it was the most popular episodes that I had in the original incarnation of BTR. There will be more premium content coming down the line. I've got some evergreen content from my prior recordings that I already know I want to bring back from the grave. All just premium only content. So if you are interested in supporting the show, you do get some special stuff. But the bulk of the stuff goes out to the feed. So you can get me on iTunes, you can get me on Stitcher, you can get me on TuneIn, and of course, bullettalkradio.com. And we're going to be starting up a monthly newsletter in February. So if you want to subscribe, that can also be done at bullettalkradio.com. So enough about me. If there's something specific you want covered or something you are interested in seeing from the Great American Outdoor Show, what have you, just let me know. Otherwise, I will see you next week.